Welcome to today's podcast, Healing Through Love, with Dr. Matt Singer, a holistic medicine specialist with an expertise in energy work, homeopathy, and works with people all around the world to help them remove emotions trapped in the body. And co-host Holly Celiano, a mother, intuitive healer, and well known to international audience as a resource for truth seekers on a variety of global concerns that are currently impacting humanity. Today's focus, all is one, connected.
Hello, everybody. I'm Holly Celiano, and I'm here today with Dr. Matthew Singer. And today we're talking about how we all are one, connected to everyone and everything. So welcome, Matt.
Holly, it's such a pleasure to be here with you again. This is such a fun topic. Do you want to start with it, or do you want me to?
Yeah, so you and I were talking how everybody and everything is connected into one because we all come from Source, God, that we're all connected to that. So as we think we're individuals and separate from everyone and everything, we're not. That's a complete misnomer. We are all connected to every single thing on the planet and every person. So whatever somebody has, whether it's wealth or they're extremely brilliant, or there is a gift that they have, such as an artist or whatever, we can tap into that because we're all connected. So they're not separate from us. We're all part of that. So why don't you go into more explanation on that?
So Roger Bannister was the first person to break the 4-minute mile. And before that, it had never been done. And what's interesting, this is what a lot of the talk is about, is after he broke it, there were dozens of people who broke it after him. And it wasn't years afterwards. It was not long afterwards. People were breaking the 4-minute mile. And when somebody saw that it was possible, all of a sudden other people believe that it's possible as well. So they're tapping into that power. Once we believe that we can do something, it's done. So Tony Robbins said it very well. When we want to create something, he used the example of wealth. He said he would read about people that he admired a lot, who had accumulated a lot of wealth. He would read their life story. He would understand their background, where they came from, their trials, their tribulations, all the stressors they went through. So he really studied them. He almost became them. And he became their level of thinking that brought them the wealth. And he very quickly found himself in those positions of accumulating a lot of money, whether it was athletes that he was working with who wanted to hit a baseball further or hit a golf ball better or bowling or soccer, whatever it was, better concentration, better sleep. He would get the person to visualize someone who's already doing it in a way where they want to emulate them. He would have them feel that feeling. They would become it. And it always worked. So
right.
when we're tapping into that infinite power, there's nothing that stops us except our misbelief that we can't do something.
Right. Because we think it's us, and it's really not us. It is our belief that it's us. But when you tap into the power that whatever somebody has, if that's what you want to attain in life, you can do the same. And it's opening up to the belief system, because your beliefs create your reality. So
Yes.
If you believe that you can't do something, then you're going to create that reality. However, it's a complete misnomer because everybody and everything is connected. So we have the potential and the power to tap into what somebody else is doing to be that.
Absolutely. And that field that we're tapping into, it has a lot of different names. Some people call it source. Some people call it the infinite. Other people call it the quantum field. It's that field of infinite potentials. It's that field where everything exists.
Yes.
The way that I like to look at it is the podcast that we're doing. I'm talking to you, but imagine that that you are my higher self talking to me, and I'm on the physical plane, and you're my higher self, and the screen is the veil. So if I have doubt, that screen gets thicker. So now you're trying to tell me how I can do something. You're trying to download to me all possibilities, all beliefs. And now because I'm just focused on how do I do it, what's the path I have to take, when is it going to happen, who do I have to call, who are the people I need to meet, now I'm creating this incredible doubt. And when I'm doing that, I'm thickening that veil. Now my higher self, which is you, cannot get through to me.
Right.
It can't give me the inspirations I need.
Right. That's a really good visual for people that have a hard time trying to grasp this. So then what do you recommend then for somebody then that is having a hard time grasping that and believing that the infinite possibility for everybody, whether it's wealth, health, happiness, love, whatever, what would be the avenue to step into that field of potential?
Well, the first thing is let's diagnose that thought process.
Okay.
So if this veil is too thick and you're my higher self and you're telling me that all the wealth that I desire is already mine, but now I can't hear you, what types of thoughts are going through my head where I can't hear you, which is going to thicken the veil?
You're putting up like just almost like ear muffs on your ears where you can't hear anything. You're just stuck inside your own thought process. So you're blocking out anything else.
Yes. So what's my thought process? My thought process would be
that you can't do it. You're not worthy. You're not enough.
I'm not worthy. Yes, absolutely. I'm not worthy. Good things don't happen to me. My father said that I'll never get ahead.
Right.
Whatever excuse we use, it's too late in life for me. I'm too old. I can't make that much in my job. I don't have any ideas. I'm not creative. I'm scared.
It has to be hard. This has to be difficult. It can't come to me easily.
Correct. It'll take me so long.
Right.
I'm a bad person if I have a lot of money.
Are you?
No. But you see what I mean? So all of those false beliefs are going to thicken that veil. And now you, my infinite self, is trying to speak to me this feeling of infinite possibility, but now I cannot hear it.
Right.
So now someone comes along and says, okay, tell me somebody in history that you emulate, that you love, that you are so enthralled with, that you would love to live their life. Who would it be?
Oh boy. The first person coming to mind is Jesus. To walk and be as Jesus with the love and the infinite wisdom that he taught everybody.
Beautiful. So now what I do is I would envision myself, I'd close my eyes, I'd envision myself speaking with Jesus, not from my ego brain, but from my heart. So now I'm going to ask Jesus, what thoughts do I have to think in order for me to hear, to know what my higher self is telling me? So then I'll sit and I'll be present, but I'm not going to think it. I'm going to feel in my heart. Sometimes it takes a minute. Sometimes it takes 5 minutes. When I'm present and I can tap into that still small voice, now I start to hear that all things are possible, that you are the wealth, that you're the source of wealth, that you're the engine behind the creation, that reality is just a reflection. So when I change my thoughts and beliefs, reality will reflect that immediately. That all things are possible. That with faith, everything is possible. So I'll start hearing that. And I'll start seeing that my reality is just a reflection. That's all it is. It's just a reflection. So when my reality is reflecting back to me this false belief that I can't do it, it's because my thoughts and beliefs are saying to the universe, give me this money that I can't have, that I'm incapable of achieving. And that's the reflection. So now how do I reverse that? All things are possible. I am unlimited. I have always been the source of wealth. I have always been incredibly healthy, incredibly wealthy. I have always been the source of everything I could ever desire. It always comes from me. So then I start saying those truths, and then does it feel good or bad when you hear me say those things?
That you've always been the wealth and the truth,
Yeah.
that feels good. But when you do the negative, it feels really bad.
Yeah. So the reason why it feels bad is because it's not who we are, and our soul will never agree with it. So now we're when it feels good, it's because we're saying something that's true. I am the wealth. Oh yeah, that feels good. And now the soul, the heart, the soul agrees with it. Yes, that's absolutely true. Yes. So now,
You know what? Go ahead.
so now when we're on board with that, now that thought gets reflected out to the infinite, to the quantum field, and it reflects back to me in a form of my physical reality.
So as you were speaking, what I was envisioning is there are hundreds, if not thousands, of different streams of energy, like all pointing at us. And what we're doing then is matching our vibration to one of those streams of energy for what it is that we want to create or manifest in this life. So it's basically then discarding all the other ones that are coming at us that aren't lining up to what we want, and aligning with that one stream of energy that will get us from this point A to point B where we want to go.
That's exactly right. And I've heard a lot of examples of it's like tuning a radio.
Yes, because there's all static out there on the radio. So until you tune yourself to the right vibrational match, then it creates a perfect harmony where then you can be in the flow with that. Because if you're not in the right vibrational match, there's going to be a constant resistance to it.
That's exactly right. So let's talk about that. Another technique for people, for our listeners, is think about what resistance feels like. Does it feel light or heavy?
Very heavy.
If it was a sweater, would it be soft or scratchy?
Very scratchy.
If it was a smell, would it be sweet or just pungent?
Pungent.
Yeah. So that's what I like to do also. If I'm thinking a thought and it doesn't feel well, I like to compare it to other things. If it's a rock, is it smooth or scratchy? So if the thought I'm thinking feels scratchy and pungent, and then I know that it's not true. Mm-hmm. And then I'll think a thought that feels joyful, that feels easy, that feels fun, free. So then I'll start matching that energy.
Right.
So tell me a thought that would feel more in alignment with fun, free, smooth, beautiful smelling. What would a thought be?
My thought would be, I am just at peace and happiness.
Beautiful.
That just feels like an like a sense of relief, like in the flow with everything.
Yes. So now when we tap into the power that other people have used, if we think about amazing people in history, like a Jesus or a Buddha, or a Tony Robbins or a Neil Donald Walsh or a Esther Hicks or Joe Dispenza, and we want to emulate this incredible faith and belief they have, that the universe always supports them. And then we can become exactly the way that they think. They would think empowering thoughts. They would always have an attitude of gratitude. They would always expect that the universe supports them. And they would always know that they are creating their thoughts through their beliefs of how it feels, right?
Right.
So then if we can tap into that power, now we can create that, we can become it as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Everything. If you're just looking at the air in front of you, in that air, in that space is all the potential of anything and everything that exists from every single person that's ever walked on this planet. It's right there in front of you. It's just a matter of matching your energy with that to create it, because
Yes,
it's there, it exists, but we block it with our beliefs.
absolutely. I also like to get the visualization as though there's a string here and I'm pulling what I want into my reality. And then that's matching the belief. And what's interesting is if I'm in a place of fear and doubt, I feel like I can't see the string.
Hmm.
So now I can only match the negativity.
Right.
And then how often have you seen, because I've seen this a lot, when I get into a place of negativity, people show up in my life to match that negativity. Either
Absolutely.
right, they'll say something rude to me, or something will happen that I wouldn't want to have happen. Something negative happens because it's just what I'm putting out is what I'm getting back. So the universe is just reflecting it right back to me. That
Yes.
same energy.
Yep. Absolutely. And, again, we have the power. We are the ones in control of our destiny, of
Yes.
our future, of our reality, because we have the potential that every single person on the planet has. It's just a matter of believing that and tapping into it. You can be anything. How many times have we heard stories of people that should have never been successful, that have, fallen down on their luck? One story is coming to mind. I don't know if you know the story of Og Mandino.
Hmm.
He um, had a family and he wound up being homeless and, a fallen down drunk living on the streets. And he would go into the library and get warm, and he had these book ideas and he started writing them. Well, he became a, best-selling author. And, that's somebody that would have never, ever been successful because of his path of, living on the street and being a drunk and being homeless. But he rose above it. There was something pushing him to become successful. I mean, there's so many stories of people that have had such adversity in their lives that they somehow tap into that power that is there for everybody to rise above it, to overcome and not believe the stinking thinking that we tell ourselves that blocks us and prevents us from being our most empowered selves that we are.
Absolutely. So let's talk about this. So in order for someone to adopt that negative thinking, where do they first get it from? Because we're not born with that, right? The creator doesn't infuse us with negativity, only
But
love, right? So
it's reflected from your childhood, what your
childhood.
parents tell you.
Yes,
So,
absolutely.
our first 7 years of life, that is the most critical and important in our lives for structuring and developing us to be who we're going to be as an adult. So
Absolutely.
if you have faced a lot of ridicule and condemnation and being told you'll never amount to anything or you're not good enough or, anything that's been said to you, then it's going to take you a long time to unravel and undo that thinking because it gets really embedded in our consciousness.
Yes. You know, another source where I see it coming from a lot is now just social media society. And we
Mm-hmm.
can get wrapped up into other people's stuff so fast. It is amazing how fast someone can get sucked in,
Right.
right? That's a big thing going on now because we take on the environment that we live in. So if
Mm-hmm.
we're in an environment which is friendly and loving, we're going to become friendly and loving. If we take on a hostile, fear-based, untrusting environment, then we're going to be living a life of fear.
Right.
So it is so important. Like we said, we have to put on our armor, and we have to decide who we are, and
And
that's
what we
where
allow in,
and what we allow in.
because it's like we need to have a gatekeeper with our thoughts to say, no, I'm not going to allow this into my consciousness. It's not who I am, and it's not going to become my belief system.
Correct. That's exactly right. And what's interesting is the more we start to train our logic, physical, ego brain that we can do anything and be anything and have anything, the more that negative self-talk starts to go away. But the minute I forget to do something like a meditation or something positive, it creeps back in.
Right.
So the other thing is always doing your hour of power or your morning routine or your morning gratitude routine, being so diligent with never forgetting that all the power always comes from within, and being so grateful for every part of your life. So many times, you probably see this also, people will focus on one thing that happened to them, and they'll say that was the worst thing that ever happened. And all they'll do is keep focusing on it. And it could have happened 10, 15 years ago, but they define their life on that thing that happened. And now negative things keep finding them. And they keep saying, since this happened, it's been one thing after another.
Yes.
I say to them, it's a reflection. Your thoughts are reflecting to the universe, and the universe is just giving you what you're asking for. And they say, I didn't ask for this. So no, you didn't speak it, but you're feeling it, and the universe responds to our feelings.
Right.
So the neat thing is,
you can see people in their lives who just kind of swim in a sea in their thoughts of such negative self-loathing and just victimhood. And that is how they walk around. I mean, it's just reflective in the way that they carry themselves. And then there's other people that have had the exact same things, but somehow, some way, they found it within themselves to break out of that and to rise above it and become something more.
Absolutely. So they made the choice. I think of it as we make it so hard, but it actually is really simple. So like looking at your house, if we wanted to change the paint color on the walls, do we have to try and deliberate and stress about it, or is it just a simple choice?
It's just a simple choice.
Yeah. And then you get inspired to decide what color it is.
Right.
So if we let the inspiration of life guide us, you let the inspiration, like we're talking about, our higher self guide us, then all the decisions, all the outcomes, we'll end up seeing that everything is perfect. Everything we've lived in our past got us to this point. And if someone doesn't like the point they're in, then that's their point of their breakthrough. When someone's sitting at the point where they're saying, well, it can't get any worse than this, I say to them, well, that's your break. You're about to hit your breakthrough.
Right.
Right. This is the point where we surrender.
Yes.
And that's where the magic happens.
Absolutely. In my life, when I've hit my breaking points and thought, I can't go on, this is it, I'm done, I'm giving up, I don't want this anymore. When you're that low, you surrender and say, I give it all up. I give up control. I give up what I'm doing because it's not working. And I just surrender to whatever.
Yes.
And it's almost like then you're given a lifeline that shows up, and you pull yourself up out of that anguish and that low spot that we fall down in.
So when we're pulling ourselves out of that low spot, what I found is when I'm first starting the process of pulling myself out, that's where it's the hardest. Mm-hmm. And that's where it's the easiest to give up.
Yes.
Right? So then what are the things you like to do when you feel like you hit that spot, that low spot, and then it's like Abraham says, it's much harder to stop a train going 100 miles an hour, which would be the metaphor for the negative thought that's out of control, versus a train that's going 1 mile an hour. It's much easier to stop a train going 1 mile an hour than 100.
Right.
So before the train gets to 100, what do you like to do to stop that locomotive, that thought?
If I get in that negative thinking, which we all do, I mean, we're not perfect. Everybody every now and then falls into that. It's really building that muscle to just instantly snap out of it, to not stay dwelling in it and years ago, I used to just grind on things. If something bothered me, it would just play over in my mind over and over and over, and what was said and what was done and how it was done and how it hurt me. And,
Mhm.
I just for days or weeks, I would just dwell on it.
Mhm.
Now, as soon as I start to go into that mode, I recognize it and say, okay, we're stopping this instantly. Like,
Mhm.
this is not who we are. We do not have to replay this over and over. This is not you. And we're going to get rid of this negative thinking. And if it's something really, really bad, that's when I usually go see you.
Mhm.
Then we Ho'oponopono it and get rid of it. Or, I Ho'oponopono at home myself a lot if I start going into that negative mindset. Um,
Yes.
put on something positive, put on positive, uh, something that's going to lift my spirits and my mindset back onto, okay, this is who I know I am, and this is how we're going to get back on track. And
Yes.
and do not derail for long. Like, instantly correct it.
And that's exactly right. Instantly correct it. And
How about you? What do you do?
well, it's just like you're saying, I have to recognize it. And what's
Mm-hmm.
interesting is there's times where I could be in a place, and it happens more often than I care to admit. I could tell you that like 2 weeks ago, I was in a place, and it happens first when I don't recognize it. And it could be as simple as my ego saying, wow, this was awesome how this happened. Let's see if I could do it better, even better next time, or if I can attract even more or accomplish even more. Then my ego sets in, and then it says, well, you didn't do it, so you're your big old failure, right? That little thought gets in there. And I don't recognize it right away because it doesn't say it like that. But then I start feeling like I have to overcompensate and try harder and work harder. Now I'm pushing against the energy. I'm using matter to affect matter. So once what I have to do is I have to feel that feeling that just doesn't feel right. I know it. Like I'll say to my wife, I'm like, just something, I just don't feel right. I feel this feeling like something's not right within me. So the first thing I have to do is recognize that feeling, that it doesn't feel easy and smooth like we were talking about. And then from there, I identify the feeling, whether I'm feeling unworthy, not good enough, unappreciated, whatever story my ego is trying to make me think, I identify it. And then from there, I start telling myself a new story, or I start, even better, I'll call someone and help them feel better. I always find that helping other people feel better helps me feel so much better. So I'll
Well,
do something
that's
for
the
someone.
doctor in you wanting to, because that's what you do. You make everybody feel better.
And when I give, that's when I feel like I'm getting so much.
Mm-hmm.
So, but the for me, the meditations, the journaling is so powerful. Just writing a letter to myself and just talking to myself, hey, this is how I feel. Tell me why, and I'll feel it just pour through me, and then it just starts coming out as I'm writing it. Have you ever done that? Just
Yes,
yeah,
yes, that is
powerful, right?
powerful, very powerful. Another
So
thing that I do, which I don't know if you've ever done this, is so even our future selves exist right in the here and now.
yes,
And that future version of yourself that you see yourself as being, wealthy and free and happy and in a loving relationship or whatever it is that you want, it exists right now
yes,
as that potential. You can have your future self with all those feelings and emotions write a letter to your present day self. And you, if it exists in the future, it exists right now. So
yes.
that's something then if your future self can inspire or give you some inkling what the future is going to be like for you, then you can live that right now.
That's amazing. I love it. That's such a good technique because
Yes.
you're right. You're right. We are past, present, future all at the same time.
Yes. Well,
Yes.
that just goes along with what we were saying, that the infinite potential exists in the field of
Yeah.
every single person walking on the earth, whether they're a brilliant mathematician, a scientist, a famous doctor, the wealthiest man, the healer, the wise sage, all that exists. We have the potential to just tap into that if that's what we want and become that.
And when I first learned this, it seemed too airy-fairy. It didn't seem true because it was too simple that we are that powerful. And when I first learned that, it was easy for me to reject it. I can't be that easy. I just think of a characteristic trait about someone I'm impressed with and I could become it, or I have the same power they have. It's easy to reject it. So the other thing I'll tell listeners is don't doubt it. You are that powerful.
And that's also the big thing. We've been taught we're not that powerful.
Yes.
So it's very hard for us to wrap our head around how powerful we are, which is why we've been kept dumbed down, our whole life, or between society, between parents, between social media. It's all just making us feel less than.
Yes. 100%.
And that's how they have power and control over you.
Yes.
Where if you did recognize your brilliance and how powerful and brilliant you are, and everybody woke up to that expression of themselves, what an incredible planet we'd all be living on right now.
100%. It's so amazing. And I'm finding more and more people are moving into this energy, which is
Yes.
which is how humanity changes, right?
And it goes back to your first example of Roger Bannister with breaking the 4-minute mile. Nobody thought it could be done.
Yes.
And then once he did it and proved it could happen, everybody breaks the 4-minute mile now.
Yes.
Same with this energy. Once you realize it's there and one or two people can break through to connect to that, then everybody can start connecting to that.
Yes. Absolutely.
Because it's proven that it does exist. It is real. It can happen.
And it does happen every day. And it's so amazing.
It does.
Yes. This is
so
awesome.
So I guess our the wrap up for the audience would be for this potential, whatever it is you want, know it exists. It exists in the realm. It exists in that quantum field. Yes. Where anything and everything is possible. And you first have to get rid of your, stinking thinking, because that's what's going to block you and prevent you. If you have limiting beliefs or you tell yourself very negative self-talk, then you are really doing yourself harm. Like negative self-talk, when I hear people do that to themselves, I kind of cringe because I just feel like their soul kind of just curling up. We should be loving ourselves. We should just be so kind and loving to ourselves. And if you're kind and loving to yourself, then you'll be kind and loving to others.
100%.
Yes.
I could not agree more. And to add to that takeaway, when we are the version within ourselves, when we are the love, then that's where all things come out. When we are the fear, that's where we are stopping that greatness from coming out. So I love what you said. Yes.
Again, most people do not love themselves. Right. I don't know if I ever told you this story. So my mom is 94, and I was having a talk with her one day about loving herself, and she goes, well, that's very selfish. I don't love myself. She goes, that feels, extremely selfish. I should love others. I should not love myself. I shouldn't have love for me.
Yes.
And this is 94 years of this embedded mindset. So she has always gone above and beyond to have people like her, because she herself doesn't like herself or love herself. So she needs it from everybody else outside of herself.
Yes.
So again, if you love yourself and truly love yourself, that is the greatest gift that we can instill for everybody to take away. Like, work on that one thing, and everything else in your life then will start to shift and change.
I think we need to do a podcast on how to love ourselves, right?
Okay, we could do that next time.
Yes. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Holly. This is so great. This is so great getting together with you.
Do you have any other last minute wrap up you want to add?
No, you said it all. The most important thing is really it's we have to love ourselves.
We do. And that sadly has not been taught to us. It took me up until just recently to start loving myself.
Well, I hear you, because those people of greatness that we're emulating, one thing, that they all have unconditional love and belief in themselves. So
Yes.
if for anything else, when they accomplish that greatness, it's because they knew who they were. They found the love in themselves.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And that is, as Jesus said, love is the key and the way, but it's the way into us that unlocks anything and everything.
Correct. I love it.
Okay.
That's so great. Excellent.
Well, it was great being here with you. Thank you, and have a great day, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for joining Healing Through Love, and please stay tuned for future shows. And join us as we spread the power of love.